Yeah, it was. They send you an email saying like there's test results in your inbox, and then you click through, you sign in, and
Okay.
I saw the little green, passed, and I just started crying, and my coworker behind me was very concerned.
Hi, Tim. How's it going?
Good, how you doing, Wasim?
Thank you. I'm doing very well. Thanks a lot for taking time out of your schedule, Tim, and scheduling this call. And first of all, congratulations on passing your PE Power exam.
Mhm.
So have you received your license yet, or the number maybe at least?
I have the number. The
Good.
license is in the mail, so it should be coming soon.
Okay, nice. Must feel pretty good, right? It's been a long journey and we'll go through it, but you must be pretty excited. Very
Yeah,
pumped.
yeah, it is. This part of it now is a lot more fun, a lot less studying and CEU credits.
Right, exactly. Did you scream out loud when you saw that past result? Where were you? Do you remember?
Uh, to be perfectly honest, I cried at my desk at work.
Really? You
Uh,
see you got the result on are they sending them via email or you have to log into ncs.ort?
yeah, yeah, it was. They send you an email saying like there's test results in your inbox, and then you click through, you sign in, and
Okay.
I saw the little green, passed, and I just started crying, and my coworker behind me was very concerned until he realized what
Really?
it was.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, because it's really like the emotional outburst in the sense that you've been putting so much time and effort, and then we'll go through your journey. It's very interesting. And then if you don't get it done in the first attempt, you always have that nagging feeling at the back of your mind that did I do enough? Did I do enough type of thing, right?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah, it's always
overwhelming.
it was something that's been hanging over my head for a while, and it was very emotional to finally get it done.
Right. So I'm sure that your journey is going to help some of the other students who are sort of in similar situation to understand what it really takes to get this done. And that's what we're going to focus on during this interview. So let's start with the very first exam that you took with me, FE Electrical. So you graduated school when, Tim?
Um, it was 2015 is when I graduated, spring of
So about
2015.
about 7 years ago.
Mhm.
And your degree diploma is actually BTech, right? So you have more computers, electronics exposure than power systems.
Yeah, I got a electrical engineering technology degree, and that was more computer based, I would say, and control systems.
Right. So if I remember correctly, you passed your FE exam in 2019. So what
Mhm.
prompted you to go in that direction?
It was just for me moving up in my career. I knew that with these certificates and these licenses, I would be able to advance what I want to do. Um, I started to get more into the power systems as my career progressed. And it was something that, in order for me to uh, be more secured in what I'm doing, this would help.
Right. And when did you take your first attempt? When did you take your first stab at the FE exam?
It was 2016. It was right after. Well, yeah, because you can take it in Ohio. You can take it right away. It was within the first year of my career. I
Right.
took it.
So technically, I mean, that's the ideal time to take it in the sense that a lot of stuff is relatively fresh in your mind, right?
Mhm.
But obviously, it was not a successful attempt. And when was the second one?
I did it. I did it. So I did it 3 times, and then it was every year in May. I basically took it. So I took it once a year.
Okay, so 2017 you tried, and that was not successfully. And then you enrolled in my course in 2018. Is that correct?
Yes, that sounds about right. It was 2018 or 2019,
Okay,
and yeah.
so you went through my on-demand course. You were also using my study guide, and I think we had a couple of Zoom calls as well.
Mm.
Um, and then you made it happen, right?
Mhm. Yeah, taking your course the first time after failing it 3 times, I took your course once and I passed it on the fourth try.
Right? What did you do differently other than using the course and the resources?
For me, it was just very more focus based instead of I am a very visual learner. So a lot of your online courses and the talks that we did definitely helped me. I am not one to open up a book and just read for an hour every night.
Right.
So the courses, the timed courses with the questions really helped me.
Okay. That's good. And I know when we the questions that you were asking were continuously improving in terms of quality. You were using my study guide as well, and then on-demand content. And there were a lot of topics in there, Tim, even in the FE electrical thing, exam specification that you were learning for the first time, right? I believe that circuits was bugging you a little bit, and then even power systems, obviously, and we'll come to power systems. So there were a lot of topics that you were learning for the first time. And kudos to you for not actually letting that prevent you pursue that goal, because I so many times, like when students are looking into taking that exam, they send me emails, Wasim, I'm a power systems engineer, I don't know nothing about computer networks, computer systems, computer softwares. And my response is that if you are really serious about getting your PE license, I mean, be open to learning a few things. So how did you convince yourself that, okay, this is not something I've learned in university, but how did you motivate yourself to learn new items, new concepts in FE electrical?
For me, it was my career also exposed me more to it. So my degree got me into my career, but what I was doing in consulting, you get exposed to many different types of systems and many different clients who use different things. So being exposed to it more, maybe you want to learn more about it. And we can get into it with the PE power, but once you kind of hear the terms, you can connect what you're doing in real life to like, hey, this test, it makes sense to learn this stuff for the test.
Yeah, makes sense. So you see a practical application right then and there, and it incentivizes you because what you're learning, it can now be applied, and it is not just, some formulas or equations that you're never going to use. So that's
Yeah.
good. All right, so let's move on to your PE power journey. So you passed your FE exam in 2019, and we are in 2022,
Mhm.
3 year gap. So in between, I think you took a little bit of break, if I remember correctly, and then you signed up for my
Yeah.
PE power course, correct?
Yeah. I took a little break. I transitioned jobs. So with the FE, I was able to apply for a different company, with them knowing that I was going to take the PE.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I re-enrolled in your course.
Right. So when did you like seriously start your PE power exam preparation?
So it was, let's see, 2021, I enrolled in your course. I'm pretty busy during the summer, so the winter was kind of my time to do it.
Mhm.
And I always took it like mid-May. So I enrolled in your course right after New Year's. So like January 2nd.
Okay. And how long did you give yourself to prepare for the exam?
I studied, let's say in the beginning, about an hour every night during the week. And then that ramped up into the weekends and especially near the end. And then near the end, it was, I would say about an average hour and a half, 2 hours, including Saturdays and Sundays, especially for like the last month and a half.
Okay. And you were using the first edition of my study guide at that time because obviously the second edition was not out, right? So
Yes.
yeah. So you took the exam and you fell short, right, of passing,
Mhm.
right? And then essentially I started, yeah, it was in 2022, actually this year, I started doing live training and we had a little chat and we reviewed your diagnostics. I said, these are the areas that we need to improve. And we'll get into what you did differently in the second attempt. But you did not give up, right? So that's a continuous, the common theme with your journey, that despite having failed that 3 times, right, you didn't give up and you got it done. That helped you get into a job that you're looking for. And essentially, you mentioned that your manager and your team at your current workplace also recommended that you actually go all the way. So you had that motivation or push or pull, whatever you want to call it. So that kept you going. It's obviously not a great place to be if you are in a repeat situation, but I think if you're learning from your mistakes and taking a different approach and trying to figure out, what needs to be done in the next attempt, that really helps. So I reached out to you, or you reached out to me, and then I told you that, hey Tim, this I'm second edition of my study guide is coming out. It is CBD based, 700 plus practice problems. On top of that, I'm also starting live training component in my course, right? So that was like my from my end. I'm just telling you that, okay, I'm working on improving these things. So let's get started back with the PE Power exam preparation. So I remember that you attended, I would say, a fair number of those live classes, and the ones that I assume that you couldn't attend, you were going through the replays and recordings. And then you also combined the study guide second edition, right, in terms of your preparation. So tell me what you did differently and how it helped you and how you made it happen in the second attempt.
Say the second time I basically did the same study schedule, a lot more problems, which your second study guide had a lot more problems in them. And the Saturday and Sunday training definitely helped. Having, being able to ask questions and then also hear other people's questions, which was good. And you sometimes would have, like experts or people who would kind of explain things, in there in the chat. And I really like those. They're more engaging, like especially on a Saturday morning. Sometimes it's not the best thing you want to do, but
Right.
they were, for me, they're really engaging to see, and how seeing you work out the problems in real time helped me.
Right.
So those were good. And then I followed every section you had, they correspond to a bunch of problems you had in the study guide. So after every section, I would go in the study guide and do them.
Right.
And that, I am definitely a problem-based, like repetitive, do as many problems as you can. It helped me.
That's good. And did you, during the exam, did you do something different in terms of your time management? Like, what was your approach? You get 6 minutes per question, right? How did you spend those 6 minutes in the first attempt versus the 6 minutes in the second exam?
So the way I've kind of do the exams is I go through, they're split up 40-40. And so you go through and you pick, these are absolutely the hardest problems, and you flag them. And then you go back. But my first attempt, I had about an hour and a half left over at the end of the exam. So knowing that now, I made sure to use better time, for the first 40 problems and then the second 40. So I split it evenly, 4 hours and 4 hours, to just make sure I had enough time to go back and like check the really hard problems, and to make sure, it's weird because I found myself second guessing a lot, but I knew going back and checking, because sometimes you can relate one problem to another one you see down the line, and you're like, oh, okay, like it jogs something.
Yeah.
So definitely taking more time. My second attempt, I used a lot of time they gave me.
So you didn't rush yourself, right? You slowed down and give every problem the due, I actually call it the due respect, right? Because you really need to think through the problems and see like what challenges they're throwing at you. And in the PE Power, very rarely do I find students complaining about, I was rushed or I ran out of time. You actually get plenty of time, so take your time and work through the problems. And the strategy that you adopted, like flagging the most difficult questions, don't let your ego kick in. Again, give respect to the problems, identify that this is out of your league. But if you get into that Zen state, the calm state of mind, you might be able to tackle it. But don't try and tackle it if it's just going to bring your confidence level down or if it's going to take too much of your time. Okay, get the easy ones out of the way and then tackle them with knowing that you have basically dealt with all the easy ones. So that's great. So walking out of the exam, Tim, what was your confidence level compared to the first attempt?
First attempt, I knew I had better time management. Um, to be frank, I've taken enough of these. So, I've taken the PE power twice and the FE 4 times. So
Yes.
I never bring my confidence that high. Like
Sure.
I've done a lot of it, but I was confident in my time management. I was confident in my studying. I knew I was the most prepared I could have been to take the PE power at that time.
Right, right. So that's the best you can do. You focus on your, what is under your control, right? The level of effort that you're putting in, the resources that you're using, and all the weaknesses that you've been addressing, right? And the rest, you just gotta wait for a week or so, like 6 days, 5 days, depending on when you take. Back in my time, when it was open book, you actually had to wait like 3 months. Okay,
Yeah.
so and then you could only take it twice a year, right? In April and then in October, and you actually had to go physically to like a huge hall, like a testing center. So it was quite a bit nerve-wracking, right? The last few days before the results were, and actually there was no set date. That's another thing about the result. It would be a window that, within that week, sometimes the result can then appear. And I do exactly remember when I got my FE result, and I exactly remember where I was, what I was doing when I got my PE result. So it's a great feeling. Why do you recommend students who are sort of on the fence, deciding to take, FE, and let's even qualify it further, that students who do, or candidates or electrical engineers or new graduates or even seasoned professionals who've been in the industry working in power systems or in a technical capacity, but they're on the fence whether they should put in all this time and effort. And it does take a lot of time and effort and resources, right?
Yeah.
To get this done. Why do you think that they should actually just take the dive and put in the level of effort and get done with this?
I'd say for me, it was very much career based. It's a really good learning opportunity to expose yourself to something that you might not necessarily think about. So like the PE, it in all the different power systems and transmission lines, and that's something that I don't necessarily deal with, but it might come along later in your career. And at least hearing the terms and hearing it just broadens your horizon of what you're familiar with. Um, I would say for me, my biggest motivator was uh, advancing my career. I knew it was something that would help me solidify what I want to do, what I like to do. I like doing this stuff. Um, and it just put me at a different level and knowing that I can achieve what I want to do and also just kind of put you more level with your peers that I
Yeah.
work with a lot of PEs. So it's a level of just respect and, there's a lot of trust that goes into it. So for me, it was a lot of career based, but it is a lot of studying, and I have done probably more studying than most people who's going to watch this video. So you can do it.
Right. Yeah, that's right. And also that sense of personal accomplishment and confidence. I'm pretty sure that your confidence level, knowing that you're a PE now, is much higher than when you were not a PE, right? And the credibility that you get, and the recognition that you get, and it also makes you a little bit more responsible, right? Because you'll be taking on a little bit of liability doing the design and things like that. So you automatically become a little bit more rigorous. At least that was my initial impression when I became PE. So, within a matter of day, I went from like an intermediate type of engineer to a professional engineer at PE. And I started just looking at all of my deliverables, all of my designs, subconsciously, it seems like, a little bit more carefully, right? Because now I'm taking direct ownership of the work that I'm doing. Previously, I was like, okay, you know what I'm doing my level best, but a senior engineer is going to still review this. But a lot of times, the stuff that you're going to be doing, you might actually be ending up putting your own stamp and signature and seal and that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's that additional responsibility, but it's fun. It's well worth the effort, and you're still early in your career. You have a lot of career ahead of you, and I'm confident that it will open many more opportunities for you both, like in terms of new projects, in terms of new career growth opportunities. So it's a job well done, and congratulations again, Tim, on this wonderful achievement. And again, it wouldn't have been possible without all the hard work that you put in, and perseverance is the name of the game.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. I would like to thank you, Wasim. We've been doing this for 4 years almost. So it's
Slightly over 3 years.
Yeah, slightly over 3 years. So your course has helped me, greatly through the FE and into the PE. I recommend you to anyone. I have a lot of power systems engineers that I work with that are trying to do the same thing that I did. So without your course, I don't think I ever would have made it.
All right. Thanks a lot for that feedback and words of appreciation. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.